Right now, you think you're in control? You believe your thoughts are yours? Your decisions are yours? Your life is yours. Right now, you think you're in control. You believe your thoughts are yours. Your decisions are yours. That your life is yours. But what if most of what you do today was decided for you years ago? Not consciously, but by a system inside your brain that you didn't even know existed. Every human operates on two levels: the conscious mind, the part you're aware of, and the subconscious system, the part that actually runs your life. And here's the uncomfortable truth. The conscious mind thinks. The subconscious decides. Nearly 95% of your daily actions are automatic. The way you react, the way you speak, the way you handle stress. These aren't choices in the moment. They're patterns, programs, a blueprint, running silently in the background. And until you see it, you will continue living the same life on repeat. Your brain is designed for efficiency, not awareness. It doesn't want you thinking deeply about every decision. That would be exhausting. So instead, it builds shortcuts, habits, patterns, automatic responses. The first time you experience something, your brain pays attention. The second time, it starts recognizing. The third time, it begins automating. And after enough repetition, it no longer asks you. It just runs the program. This is why you reach for your phone without thinking, react emotionally before you understand why, say things you didn't plan to say. You're not choosing in those moments. You're executing code. To understand why you are the way you are, we have to go back to the beginning. Not to place blame, but to uncover the source code. Because most of your core patterns, the very foundation of your personality, were formed before the age of 7. This isn't just a psychological theory. It's rooted in neuroscience. During these formative years, your brain is in a completely different state than it is now. It primarily operates in theta brainwaves, a low-frequency state associated with deep relaxation, imagination, and high suggestibility. Think of it as a state of natural hypnosis. You existed in a world before the development of your conscious mind's gatekeeper, before logic, before critical thinking, before the kind of self-awareness that allows you to analyze and reject information. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought and decision-making, was still under construction. This means there was no filter. There was no bouncer at the door of your subconscious mind checking IDs. The door was wide open. During this time, your brain operates in a highly absorbent, programmable state. Like a sponge, yes, but it's even more profound than that. It's like a new computer being loaded with its fundamental operating system. Every experience, every word, every emotion you were exposed to wasn't just observed. It was downloaded directly into your hardware. Everything you saw, heard, and felt got recorded. Not as memories you can consciously recall, but as deep-seated programs. The tone of your parents' voices, the way they handled stress, the unspoken rules of the household, the energy in a room after an argument, all of it was encoded as the way things are. These experiences built the neural pathways that would become your automatic responses for decades to come. Let's make this concrete. If you consistently experienced criticism, perhaps for not being tidy enough or quiet enough, or for making innocent mistakes, your young mind didn't have the capacity to say, "This person is having a bad day." Instead, it recorded a simple, powerful command: "I am not good enough." This command, repeated over time, develops into a pervasive program of self-doubt. As an adult, you might procrastinate on important projects, second-guess your decisions, or feel like an imposter, all because that original code is still running in the background. Or consider instability. This doesn't just mean moving houses. It could be emotional instability, where a parent's mood was unpredictable, or financial instability, where there was a constant, unspoken tension about money. Your developing nervous system learned that the world is not a safe or predictable place. It learned to be on high alert, constantly scanning for threats. This state of hypervigilance doesn't just disappear. It matures into what we call anxiety. It's the feeling that something is about to go wrong. even when everything is fine. It's your body still running the watch-out program it learned as a child. And what if love and affection were conditional? If you only received praise and warmth when you achieved something, got a good grade, won the game, or behaved perfectly? Your operating system learned a transactional rule. To be loved, I must perform. My worth is based on my accomplishments. This code evolves into the people pleaser, the adult who can't say no, who burns themselves out trying to earn approval from bosses, partners, and friends, constantly chasing a feeling of worthiness that was never given freely. And here is the most important, most liberating part of this entire process. You didn't choose any of this. You were a passive recipient. You couldn't reject the programming. You couldn't stand up as a 5-year-old and say, I respectfully disagree with this belief system. It seems unhealthy. You just absorbed it all. Over time, these patterns became your normal. They are the water you swim in, the air you breathe. They are so deeply embedded that they feel like fundamental truths about the world and about yourself. So now, as an adult, when these programs run, when you feel that familiar pang of anxiety, or the urge to please someone at your own expense, or the voice of the inner critic, you don't question them. Why would you? They've always been there. You don't see them as programs, you identify with them.
You look in the mirror and you say, I'm just an anxious person. I've always been a people pleaser. This is just who I am. But it's not who you are. It's not your identity. It's what was programmed. It's the software that was installed before you knew you even had a choice. And the good news is, you're now the programmer. You can begin the work of rewriting the code.
Your brain is not reacting to reality. It's predicting it. Based on past experiences, your brain constantly asks, what usually happens next? Then it prepares your thoughts, emotions, and actions before the moment even unfolds. That means you don't just remember the past. You relive it through predictions. If you've experienced failure repeatedly, your brain expects failure. So even when opportunities appear, you hesitate. You doubt. You pull back. Not because you're incapable, but because your brain is trying to stay consistent with its past model of reality. This is how people stay stuck for years, not trapped by circumstances, but by prediction. And here's the part no one tells you. Your brain doesn't just store patterns. It becomes chemically attached to them. This isn't a metaphor, it's a biological reality. Every time you repeat a thought, a feeling, or an action, you strengthen the neural pathways responsible for it. Think of it like carving a path in a dense forest. The first time is difficult, but with each repetition, the path becomes wider, clearer, and easier to travel. Your brain, in its quest for efficiency, will always prefer this well-trodden path. Over time, these pathways become our default settings, running on autopilot. This process is governed by a fundamental principle of neuroscience. Neurons that fire together, wire together. This wiring isn't just structural, it's deeply chemical. Every emotional state you experience releases specific chemicals. Stress floods your system with cortisol and adrenaline, preparing you for fight or flight. Anxiety keeps that system on a low-level alert. Excitement triggers a rush of dopamine, the molecule of reward and motivation. Comfort and connection release oxytocin and serotonin, creating feelings of safety and well-being. These aren't just abstract feelings. They are tangible, physiological events. Your body's cells have millions of tiny receptors on their surfaces, specifically designed to receive these chemical messengers. When you repeatedly experience a certain emotion, your cells adapt. They can even create more receptors for that specific emotional chemical, making you more sensitive to it. And over time, your body gets used to certain emotional combinations. It develops a baseline, a chemical homeostasis it considers normal. If your daily life is filled with low-grade anxiety, your body becomes accustomed to a steady drip of cortisol. It learns to function in that state. If your primary source of connection is through dramatic highs and lows, your system becomes conditioned to expect intense surges of both stress and reward chemicals. This conditioning is profound. Your body doesn't judge these states as good or bad. It simply registers them as familiar. So even if a pattern is harmful, your system starts craving it. This is the paradox of self-sabotage. When you try to change, to step out of the anxiety, the drama, the unhealthy comfort zone, your body experiences a chemical disruption. The cells that were accustomed to their daily dose of stress chemicals are suddenly deprived. They send signals to the brain, which are interpreted as a craving. It feels like something is wrong, like you're not being yourself. This craving for the familiar chemical state is so powerful, it can override your conscious desire for change. This is why people stay in toxic relationships. The emotional roller coaster of conflict followed by reconciliation creates a powerful, addictive chemical cocktail. This is why people recreate drama in their lives. The rush of adrenaline from a manufactured crisis can feel more alive than the quiet of peace. And this is why people sabotage progress right before success. The anxiety of stepping into a new, more capable version of themselves is so unfamiliar that they retreat to the known territory of failure or mediocrity. It's not weakness, it's familiarity addiction. Understanding this is the first step toward self-compassion. You are not broken or flawed for finding it hard to change. You are contending with a deeply ingrained biological system that is designed for survival, not necessarily for happiness or growth. Your body is simply trying to return to the chemical environment it knows best, the one it has been conditioned to recognize as normal. The brain would rather feel a known discomfort than face an unknown possibility. The misery of your current situation is a known quantity. Your brain has a map for it. It knows the chemical signature, the emotional texture, the behavioral responses. It feels, in a perverse way, safe. An unknown future, even one that promises happiness and fulfillment, is a blank map. It represents uncertainty, because unknown, risk, and risk, threat. This is the ancient, primal logic of your survival brain. For millennia, the unknown could hide predators or fatal dangers. Your brain's primary directive is to keep you alive, and it does so by defaulting to caution. It flags the new and different as a potential threat that must be avoided. This system doesn't distinguish between the risk of a new career and the risk of a saber-toothed tiger. To your nervous system, the uncertainty feels the same. So it pulls you back, again and again. It uses the powerful tool of emotional discomfort, anxiety, fear, doubt, to herd you back toward the familiar pasture, even if that pasture is barren and painful. This is the invisible force that keeps you stuck, the undertow that pulls you away from the shore of your own potential. Recognizing this pull for what it is, a biological survival mechanism, not a personal failing, is the key to finally breaking free. You believe your personality is fixed, but it's not. It's a collection of repeated thoughts, emotional reactions, and behaviors. In other words, your personality is your most practiced self. If you repeatedly think, "I'm not good enough," that becomes your identity. If you repeatedly avoid discomfort, that becomes your personality. And over time, it feels permanent. But it's not permanent. It's reinforced. If change were easy, everyone would do it. But the moment you try to break a pattern, your brain resists, not because it wants you to fail, but because it wants to keep you predictable. When you try something new, your brain increases doubt. Your mind creates excuses. Your body feels discomfort. This is not a sign you're on the wrong path. It's a sign you're stepping outside the program, and the system is trying to pull you back. We've seen how our subconscious blueprints can trap us in cycles we wish to escape. But you can't win by fighting your brain. The path to true change is more subtle. It begins not with resistance, but with understanding. This is the art of conscious re-engineering. It involves 4 steps. The first step is awareness. You cannot change a pattern you don't see. Become a detective of your own consciousness. Notice your automatic reactions, your repeated thoughts, and your emotional triggers. Don't judge them. Just bring the unconscious into the light of conscious awareness. Step 2. Interrupt the pattern. Once you see the pattern unfolding, your task is simple. Pause. This pause is a circuit breaker. Even a few seconds is enough to break the loop. In that precious gap, you are no longer a passenger. You are back in the driver's seat. Step 3. Replace, don't remove. The brain doesn't like a void. You can't just stop a behavior. You must replace it with a new one. This is strategic substitution. When you interrupt the old pattern, consciously choose a different, more constructive action. This gives your brain a new path to follow. And step 4, repetition. A single choice creates a moment of freedom, but consistency builds a new reality. Every time you interrupt an old pattern and choose the new behavior, you are casting a vote for your future self. This is neuroplasticity in action, physically rewiring your brain with each conscious choice. With consistent application of these 4 steps, awareness, interruption, replacement, and repetition, the old reactive blueprints fade. The new intentional pathways become your default. You are no longer just the product of your programming. You are becoming its architect. The truth is, you were never fully in control, but you were never completely powerless either. Most people live their entire lives inside invisible patterns, never questioning them. But now you've seen it. The system, the loops, the blueprint. And once you see it, you have a choice. Stay on autopilot, or start rewriting the code. This is the human blueprint.